What is up, folks? Today we are diving into the Godox SZ150R RGBW LED cob light. This is a pretty cool fixture, all things considered. Some of my favorite features I showcased in that intro, and we're going to take a deeper dive into those things. Here's a comparison because I wanted to see what it compares to the Aputure 120d Mark I. So there you can see, so it's a quite heftier, bigger version. Now I did a full unboxing of this, however it was on IGTV over on Instagram. So that's where I've been doing all of my unboxing videos, so be sure to follow me at Kid Tech if you are not already. Not only that, but I am very, very active on Instagram, posting daily there, whether it's in a normal post or on the stories, or I've started doing all my unboxings on the IGTV. I just feel like the unboxings are more personable and I can do them right away when I get them, so it makes it more real, I guess. Right out the bat, you can see that it has this little reflector on here. Now, one of the more interesting things about this light is that it has almost like a built-in Fresnel, all right? They're calling it a zoomable LED light. So let me show you what's going on here. So this is a universal Bowens mount, by the way, which is very cool. So here is a little switch so you can pop off. So it comes with this reflector, and this is cool. I love universal Bowens mounts on lights like this because me personally, I have lots of other Bowens mount accessories, you know, like Fresnels and reflectors and space lights and octadomes of all different sizes and spotlight projector mounts from Godox and other brands, you know, so it's cool to have a universal Bowens mount, especially one that's RGBW, right? So let me show you the kind of interesting build structure of this has like a little, very large, wide, soft LED, right? But right here next to the yoke is the zoom little option here. So here you can see you can push that in and out. And essentially, we'll show you what it does in a minute here, but it gives you a beam angle from 65 degrees all the way down to 20 degrees. So that's pretty cool. However, it depends on what accessory you're using to really take full advantage of that, because it's not quite like a true Fresnel, right? It's just like a zooming LED light, right? Now you're getting a shot of the really nice colored LCD screen on the back here, and it's really, really nice. And here you have a close-up of all of the features. Yeah, so this is what you're getting on this. You know, you have your function button here, so you see that I can take this light in CCT mode. It starts out at 2800 Kelvin and it goes all the way up to 6500 Kelvin. So the green magenta shift, now we're gonna get blown out here in the background. The green magenta shift, it coincides or correlates with the brightness of the light itself, right? So for instance, you'll see right here I'm at 7%, and you know, you can go up to +3 tint, but you can't really go minus magenta because the green magenta tint shift it's tied in with the brightness of the light, which is cool, or is it, right? You know what I mean? So look, like the brighter we go here, now you'll notice I can only go up to 35%. And why that is right now is because I currently am running with the fan off. So this is something else that I found really interesting about this light, because Godox does advertise this light as being noiseless. But what they don't tell you is that when you turn the fan off, it limits you, right? So when the fan is off, I can't make this light any brighter than 35%. So That's a little bit interesting, right? Now, I stumbled upon this. I used this light as my main key light for the spec ad that I did for Centric, if you saw last week's video, right? So that blue interesting cyan light was provided by this SZ150R. Now, what I was doing on that spec was I was triple diffusing this, right? So since this light has a universal Bowens mount, I had a mini dome on here with just a little grid cloth that comes with the mini dome. And then outside of that, I had a little 5x3 pop-out silk. And then on outside of that, I had a 6x6 of silent half grid cloth from our friends at Modern Studio Equipment. So I was triple diffusing this, and there's a lot of different reasons why people do that. One of them is you're making a bigger, softer source, right? And each time, because essentially I went from a little tiny light like this to the dome, right? So now you're getting bigger, softer, broader. And then I went from the dome to a 5x3 silk. And then from there, I went to a 6x6, right? So I went from this little tiny light all the way out to a 6x6. And ideally, each time that you do that, each time you level up in diffusion, you usually want to go with a thicker, heavier density of diffusion, right? It's making a much softer, broader source. So that's really what I was doing with that, just because, you know, it was lighting out there in the dead of night, shooting at T1, T1.4 on that lens. Again, if you haven't seen the video, I'll put a link down in the description below. But however, when I went to get a little bit more level out of this, what I noticed is over in HSI mode, notice that no matter how much I turn the brightness, I cannot go beyond 75%. So when the fan is off, you will never be able to go beyond 75% brightness in HSI mode and cannot go beyond 35% brightness in CCT mode. So that is something to consider when thinking about this light and thinking, well, it doesn't, you know, it's noiseless. So if I go in here to the menu and then I'm going to go over here and I turn the fan on, it's a very, very quiet fan, right? So that is a plus. Now I can go back over here and now I can crank this out. Now it looks like I'm in another world here, but yeah, there you go. That's all the way up to 100%. So very quite interesting. But now if we wanted to dive back into this green magenta shift, I jump down here and you notice now I can take the green magenta shift all the way to 44, plus 44 when I'm at 47%, or I can go minus 37. But you'll notice when I go higher in brightness, like let's crank this bad boy out. It doesn't matter. We're just going to be focused on this part of the video here. So sorry about this all being blown out like crazy. Look at that. Wah, 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 wah. Okay, so now look at the green magenta shift here. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Over here, now I can go all the way down to negative 50, or I can go up to plus 50, right? But it all coincides with whatever my dimming is. But now if I bring it down, now you can watch the green magenta shift drop down as I'm dropping in brightness. The green magenta shift correlates with the brightness of the light. Now, as of the making of this video, which is late April in 2021, if you're buying this light, you're definitely going to want to go on the Godox website and download the latest firmware update for this SZ150R specifically, because when I first got this light, I was not able to adjust the green magenta tint shift at all. It just stayed at 0. And that was because of the old firmware update. So you're definitely going to want to go in there and get that new firmware update just for the new option to have green magenta shift, right? Which is a big plus to have that. So let me open the Godox Light app now. It's actually pretty decent. So I'm in the app. It connects on its own, which is really nice. It's not like those other, some apps are really annoying where you have to jump in and out of your iPhone settings and all of that. This one's pretty good connecting Bluetooth-wise. I'm gonna kill our main light so we can really look at the special effects on this light. So let's tap into our HSI mode. I'm sorry, the FX mode first. Let's look at all the FX. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's jump up here to our first one, which is RGB cycle, okay? Now it changed it to 8%. So I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it on 8% so we can get an idea. Obviously there's a hot spot here because I have it right up on the wall. But this is the RGB cycle. And as you see here on the app, I can adjust from speed 1, right, to speed 2 of the RGB cycle, or speed 3 of the RGB cycle. So you can't adjust the speed through the actual fixture itself, not that I'm aware of anyways. You would need the app to adjust the speed. However, you're only able to adjust the speed and the brightness via the app and nothing else. So there's really not a whole lot of fine tuning you can do with these 13 preset special effects, but they're still there for you. Now we have flash bulb mode. So this is for, you know, flash photography. Now that's at speed 2. We can see that at speed 3. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Next, we'll go into what Godox calls laser. So this is laser mode here. I'm just going to leave these at the speed 2 for the sake of the video's length. Then I'm going to tap into the lightning mode, so we can check out lightning. So this is speed 2 of the lightning. If we wanted to see that cranked up, we could look at it in speed 3, just because lightning I feel is one that we use quite often. And then we can change to speed 1 of the lightning. Okay? And we'll just see what it does at a lower rate here. There it goes. Oh, very nice. Oh, see, nice deep cracks. That's pretty good, actually. Okay, and then we can go into broken bulb. Now, broken bulb's an interesting one. I was on a job once where a guy had another one of my lights, and it said on the back broken bulb, and he was like, or no, on those lights it said bad bulb, and he goes, oh, this one has a bad bulb. He didn't realize that he had put on the RGB special effect bad bulb. But so there you get an idea of that. And those are always interesting, right, for like horror movies. Now that's only speed 2. If you wanted something a little bit more of a flicker, you get that more of that look with the speed 3. A little bit, but there it was. Let's see speed 1. These are always fun for horror films, right? These kind of special effects, these broken bulbs. And there's speed 1. Okay, TV, so this is the TV mode here. Now this is interesting because there's not a whole lot of colors that it includes, and you can't add colors to any of these preset special effects either. So here's TV mode at speed 3. So that's an interesting TV mode, just based on the colors, in my experience. Okay, so now we'll tap into the candle mode. Now the candle mode is very, very bright. I might dim that down to like 4%. Just so we can check that out. That's at speed 2. If you wanted a really slow candle, we could go speed 1. Okay. Yeah, it's hella high output. However, I am parked pretty dang close. I'm only about 2 feet, maybe 2.5 feet from this wall too. So keep all that in mind. Let's jack this up to 3, speed 3 with the candle. And yeah. Okay, so let's jump to fire, because fire is always one that people are very interested in. This is speed 2 at 4% fire mode here. So that's interesting. Let's see a slow campfire, speed 1 on the app here. This is slow campfire mode. So there you see it's not so much as wild ricketing. Speed 3 would probably be more for like a house on fire, I imagine. Then you get that idea of what that is. Yeah, and then let me see if I tilt it. Let me tilt it up this way so you get more of a bounced effect. So there you can kind of see what it's doing on my face and stuff. Now this is speed 3 with the campfire effect. And then down back here, just so you guys can watch on the back of the LCD screen. We'll jump to fireworks real quick, see what they offer in that mode. Lots of nice fire. Now this is speed 2 with the, this is speed 2. For fireworks. Let's check speed 3 for that. So we're just kind of, you know, looking at this very generically right off the bat. If I wanted to, I could shoot this at the ceiling, get more of a wash in here with the fireworks, right? So you're getting an idea. All right, let's keep trudging along here. And then of course there's cop car mode. So you have your cop car, and then you have your fire truck. Now keep in mind that some of these colors may be a little off based upon the white balance that I already have dialed into the camera recording this video. So keep all that into context as well. I believe we're around 4,000 Kelvin for the white balance, 4,500 Kelvin for the white balance, something like that. This is ambulance mode. These are all at speed 2. And then there's music mode, which I'm not sure if it is. So I'm guessing this is going by whatever room tone is in the room. However, that's quite terrifying because it's not moving with my voice, obviously. And I'm also not able to adjust the speed. So this must be some preset that they're working out, I guess, the kinks. And then of course there's SOS mode for those times when you're trapped on a deserted island or a set that is holding you hostage. you can just shoot out Batman style, SOS, help us please, help us please. Okay, yeah, and SOS is, you know, it's SOS, so you're not able to change the speed of that either. But while we're in here on the app, I want to tap into some of this other cool stuff. So let's jump over here. This is what's cool, because if you notice, we'll go into normal HSI mode over here, and as you'll see here on the back of the fixture, that you're really only able to change the hue, saturation, and intensity, which is the brightness, right? But if you go into the app, the free app, by the way, this is where you get all the really cool options to tap into this light. For instance, this is where you can tap into the RGBW mode. So here is where anywhere on the color field, I can instantly go in here, adjust the brightness of my fixture. I'm going to put it down on 3%. And I can just tap anywhere within this color field. Now the other one is sliders. Now this is cool because I get each channel, red, green, blue, and white, because this is an RGBW fixture, right? So here is where I can adjust via the sliders and really fine tune this RGBW, right? So I thought that was really cool, but it gets even better. So then also on the app, they give you the color wheel so you can dial in your HSI. I can even tap any of these and put in the exact number of the hue and saturation that I'm in need of. So there are apps and color swatch books out there that do have actual percentages for hue and saturation. Now obviously, they're gonna be a little bit different for every fixture across the RGBW LED platform. However, you could at least get those numbers and get it somewhere close, right? In my experience and in my opinion. Also something cool in here is the color picker. Now color picker is awesome, and I showed this in the intro to where, you know, showing, because again I was using this for the Centric spec ad that I shot last week. You know, let's say you were on a multiple day shoot and you needed to get that same light again. So I could literally go in here into my photo library and pull up one of these shots of, for instance, here's this BTS shot of me, right? I'll pull that up. There's my big 6x6 of half grid cloth. Maybe I'll put it right over that and see what the color was of that. And there we go. And then I can even go in here and save it, right? And I can save it whatever I want. So that's pretty awesome. Color picker is huge. And for the price of this fixture, that's a really cool option to have. Then of course there is normal CCT mode, where you do have the option to adjust the green magenta shift on here and your CCT. However, something interesting here that I noticed, this app is probably just like a broad washover kind of app for all of Godox's lighting fixtures, because if you look on the app, it can be a little misleading, because you can, it shows you like, oh, I can go all the way down to 2600 Kelvin, but you're not, right? The actual light, we already know, can only go as low as 2800. And the same is on the other end of the spectrum. So the app is telling me that it's going to 8500 Kelvin, but the reality is your light is ending at 6500. So it's just something to keep in mind, be aware of, that the light in CCT mode with the app isn't always correct. And that's the same with the green magenta shift. So before, what I told you, you're only allowed to adjust green magenta based upon the brightness of the fixture. So right now, my fixture is only at 4% brightness, right, with the fan on. So I've had the fan on this whole time, so you get an idea, is it too loud or not, because of what we talked about earlier. You know, the app is gonna show you, oh, I'm doing plus 50, but the reality is you're not doing anything. If you look at the LCD screen, it's staying at 0. And that's because, again, the green magenta shift is somehow correlating with the brightness of the light. So there's some restrictions there, right? So it's just something to be aware of. You don't want to let the app trip you up when you're on set. So you do want to make sure and check the back of the LCD screen. And then they have a gel filter. This is cool. They do have some preloaded Lee and Roscoe gels, but as you can see, the library is not super deep. I'm bummed out. There's no straw on here. You know, this is I don't know how many times now I've come across these LED lights with RGBW capabilities and these preloaded Lee and Roscoe filters, and so far none of them have straw. And I'm like, what the heck? To me, straw is the most used gel filter in my opinion, right? Because straw looks a lot better on skin tones than CTO. So just throwing that out there. So for all of my app developers making these LED RGBW lights, come on, man, where's the straw filter, you know? But again, it's not a big library, so just keep that in mind. However, they do have this custom, but I'm not sure how the custom works. Not sure how that works. But again, this is like a wash app, and I think this kind of covers all of Godox fixtures, so do keep that in mind. So now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go back into my menus and I'm going to turn the fan off. There it goes off. So you get an idea of how loud that fan is. I'm going to turn back on my main key light now, and then I'm going to tap this off. It's the little things with me, man. I just love that you don't have to completely kill the light. You can just tap the brightness on and off. That's really cool, especially, you know, for if you're using this as a key light, and normally you would set that key first, right? So then as you're setting up your other lights, if you're someone like me, I like to be able to turn each light off and have, you know, be able to set each light on its own, right? So meaning I set my key up first, right? If this was my key light and I get this all set up where I need it, and then if I start setting up, say, the edge light, I can quickly walk over here, tap this off without completely killing the light, right? Because it's still on. I just find that nice. I don't know. It's the little things, again, that I kind of like. Now, if you saw the unboxing video that I did of this light over on IGTV, you'll see that there was little V-mount clamps included with this light. So here they are. These, right, they're little clamps for the light stand, and I got really excited because I'm like, oh, this is cool. You know, you can just tie this to your light stand and you have V-mount clamps. But then Godox reached out to me because they saw that unboxing video and they let me know, like, oh, by the way, the SZ150R cannot be run off of battery. So that was a little confusing for me. So yeah, kind of a downside there. This light has to be, you know, powered to DC voltage, but it also has DMX. Something else is you can control this light with a physical remote that Godox sells separately, and that to me does look really, really cool because I do get a little impatient and annoyed with apps sometimes. However, I will say the Godox app is probably one of the better ones that I've used, but that physical remote does look cool. I'm not sure the price, but maybe I'll pop it up right here. Yeah, but other than that, I think the biggest downside or something to be aware of with this particular light is that whole limiting of your output when you have the fan off, right? Being limited to 35% in CCT mode is huge, right? So in my opinion, it's pretty much not a noiseless light at all. I couldn't ever imagine a time when I'd be okay with a light. This is only a 150 watt LED, right? However, it does have really high output, but again, on that shoot, we were in the dead of night, however, for that backyard gym stuff, right? But again, you know, I was only able to go up to 75% because at the time of this spec, you know, that was actually probably the only second time I ever used this light, and I was unaware of the fact that when you have it in silent mode, you're limited on your output. I didn't know that. At the time, I thought it was a firmware issue because I hadn't updated the firmware yet, right? So I thought, oh, must be a firmware thing. It won't let me go beyond 75% in HSI mode. Come to find out, even after I updated the firmware, then I realized, like, oh, it's because of the fan. Ah, now I see. HSI, you know, cutting off 25% of brightness isn't so bad, but when you start getting into that CCT mode and you're only able to go up to 35%, that's crazy. Maybe, hopefully, there's something they can work out in a firmware update. I don't know anything about technology and building LED fixtures, but however, I love the capabilities that you're able to crack open with this RGBW light with that Godox Light app. The app is really what takes this light to the next level, and thank God for my impatience that the app works pretty seamlessly, right? Because I get annoyed. Here's my whole thing with apps, just as an end of a video kind of wrap-up thing I will say about it is, part of the reason why I don't like apps is because on set, I feel like sometimes it can have very bad optics, right? Especially if you're on a commercial job and some of those higher end clients, because commercials are where the big money is being spent and the crew and cast are making more money, so it all trickles down. And when you're on some of those big commercial jobs, I can only imagine the client's face when they walk in and the gaffer and the DP and the director are all huddled around an iPad or a phone. Now, granted, in their defense, they're probably messing with an app. And I've seen this happen on set with way higher end fixtures and way higher end apps. And I just imagine what's going through that client's mind when he's walking away going, well, the money's being spent and they're all playing on an iPad, right? So that's my one thing I will say about apps and phones. But I get it, you know, technology's moving forward, but I'm kind of old school. And also, I just don't have the patience with apps sometimes. I have had plenty of trials and tribulations dealing with all the new apps for all of this stuff in our camera world, and a lot of it is highly annoying because it takes up my time. I don't have the patience for it. I never have my phone out when I'm on set, part of the time because I'm doing like 5 jobs and I just don't have the capability to look at my phone. But also it's just one of those things where a physical remote I'll take any day of the week. So I think that would be something to look into with this particular light, because I do like it so much, and I wonder if you're able to tap into the same capabilities that the app allows you to with that physical remote. One thing I will probably be able to say right now is that the color picker option is probably not an option on that physical remote. But like I said, the Godox Light app is a pretty decent good app, so yeah, be sure that you download that if you get this light. I'm actually pretty impressed with this light. I'm always impressed with Godox fixtures. I think they're a really interesting brand, and I think they have really cool stuff, And when I ranked them from, when I ranked some of the low budget options that we have in the cinematography world, I'm pretty sure I ranked Godox pretty high on that list because I've always been a fan of their lights, and I've had their products in my van package before, and this one for sure I'll be taking on jobs. I know already that this light has replaced my 120D Mark I. I just know that. Just for its RGBW capabilities alone, and probably will be replacing the 300D Mark I a lot as well, just for its RGBW capabilities. And in my experience and in my opinion, that 300D Mark I is not that much brighter than a 120D Mark I, right? However, I have not actually physically compared the output of this SZ150R to either of my Aputure Mark I lights, but right here on the screen you can see what Godox's specs are with the readings that they did at the factory or wherever they do their tests for their fixtures. As always, thank you for watching. The best way to support the channel is just tap that subscribe button, the like button, share this with a few of your friends if you like, get the word around, and be sure to check out the Dog Times Patreon, because that's really where you get into the mind of the madman, and I take everybody behind the scenes with me from the pre-production to on the set on the day, total behind the scenes access, all access pass, and then the post-production side of things, we break down every job that I do. It's a lot of fun over there. We do lighting challenges. It's our own little private filmmaking club. So there'll be links to that Patreon down below. And if nothing else, follow me on Instagram, because that's where you really get to see me on a daily basis, and I interact with almost everyone over there. So as always, thanks for watching. Thank you for the support, and I will see you next week.
All right.